Welcome back to the Word Expanded, the Gospels. We're in Matthew, we're in chapter 16. Let's look at verses 5 through 12. When the disciples reached the other side, they had forgotten to bring any bread. Jesus said to them, "Watch and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." They began discussing it among themselves, saying, "We brought no bread." But Jesus, aware of this, said, "O you of little faith, why are you discussing among yourselves the fact that you have no bread? Do you not perceive? Do you not remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000 and how many baskets you gathered? Or the 7 loaves for the 4,000 and how many baskets you gathered? How is it that you fail to understand that I did not speak about bread? Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees." They understood that he did not tell them to beware of the leaven of bread, but the teaching of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Teaching is an amazing thing. You see this every day. Something comes out. Somebody says something new or profound, and it just spreads like crazy. It is amazing to me. People go to conferences all the time, and they come back, and whatever was at the conference, it's all of a sudden gospel. It's all of a sudden, we've got to apply this. We've got to do this. Do you know, churches, ministries, businesses, families have dropped everything that they're doing to follow a new way because somebody went and got a new idea, right? Those things happen all the time in big ways. We just make changes, but it also happens in little ways. And this is more of what Jesus is talking about. It's these little ideas, these little thoughts that get into our thinking, and pretty soon we're off this way, off track. And it just happened little by little. We took this little thing. So, for instance, one of the most famous sayings out there that isn't in the Bible is God helps those who help themselves. So if you hear that and you let that start working into your life, all of a sudden you start believing you have to work harder, you have to do more, that God will help me, God will bail me out when I do the little things. Listen carefully. This is what televangelists and people prey on when they say to you, "Hey, you do a little, you give us $100, God will give you 1,000." This whole idea that God helps those who help themselves. You give all you can, and then God will step in. It sounds good. It sounds godly. But when you remember that Jesus said it's not the healthy that need a doctor, it's the sick. Jesus came to help people. Does he help those who help themselves? Sure. But does he help those who cannot help themselves? Oh, yeah. Yep, he does. He helps those who cannot help themselves as well. Those who physically can't help themselves, those who financially can't help themselves, those who don't even know they need help. God will also help those out. Be very careful. Are there times where God asks you to give $10? Yes, there are times. But it is not a principle that, hey, you help yourself and then God will come in and save the day. No, you be obedient. You be a good steward. How is it being a good steward of $10 if you just give that away in hopes that you will get $1,000? God wants you to invest smartly. He understands, though, that these little teachings, these little things, they start coming in and they start influencing everything you do. And pretty soon, you think that your salvation is based on you working and what you can do. And then you start judging other people for what they're doing or not doing. And you start looking down and saying, I would help this person, but they're not helping themselves. They're a bad steward of their money. They're a bad steward of their time. They're a bad steward of their resources. Be very, very careful because it's a slippery slope. The Pharisees and the Sadducees used teaching to control people. God's not using teaching to control you. God wants his teaching to bring you freedom and then a willingness to willingly allow him to be Lord of your life. That is a big difference between God manipulating you, using things to control you, making you make him Lord of your life, and God doing things that will allow you to willingly sacrificing yourself, sacrificially giving yourself to him. So what little things have you seen? What can you go back and you could say, I remember sitting and listening to that teaching and look at where it led me. All of a sudden, I'm believing this way. Little things. They get in all the time. And they try to affect us, and pretty soon they become a big thing. Be careful. Guard your heart, guard your mind. Take every thought captive. Where might this thought lead to if I let it keep going? If I entertain it? A lot of people would be in a lot better place in life, including me, if we take every thought captive, not let the little things become a focus, then become an attitude, and then become an action. That's how it works. You can look at somebody who's yelling at somebody and you can go back to what was the focus, what were they focused on, when did it become an attitude, and when did it become an action. You chew on that. We'll see you next time right here on the Word Expanded the Gospels.